Hi, today I'm showing the build for this Fritz and Franz jig. The Fritz and Franz jig is popular with sliding table saws to help people cut small pieces of wood or pieces of wood at various angles. My design combines parallel guides, which are already on my table saw, with a classic Fritz and Franz jig. Parallel guides attach to the side of the sliding table and slide in and out, giving you an accurate measurement to the inside edge of your workpiece. This is a digital model produced by Lamb Toolworks. I'll start by taking some rough measurements of the miter slot and the length of the parallel guide. Because each sliding table saw is different, and because each parallel guide may be different, take your time and get a good understanding of the measurements that are going to affect your Fritz and Franz jig. Make sure to pay attention to any knobs which may be on your parallel guide. And check the width of your guide in relationship to the measurement beam. Because I'm using a CNC, I'll make a 3D model. You could also just make a sketch, then use a bandsaw, jigsaw, and a table saw. In my design, I've made room for the parallel guide, the air clamp, and cut a dado to match my T-slot. I also made allowances for the knob on the parallel guide and cut out some extra waste to make it a little bit more ergonomic. I'll simulate the tool paths I've created for the CNC to make sure everything comes out smoothly. Make adjustments as needed. And then just to double check everything is correct, I'll cut down some plywood and run a test pass on that instead of my final material. Then it's off to the CNC to go ahead and cut that test piece of wood. I'll check how accurate my measurements were, and that my tool paths were right. The CNC is a fickle mistress. Then it's off to choose the final piece of wood. I'm using rift sawn white oak. I'll cut it in half. Joint. Plane. Then it's back to the CNC with the final work pieces. And I laser engraved them for fun. Now it's time to cut out the tabs. And use a block plane to smooth out any remnants of the tabs. I'll use a chisel to square out the corners for the parallel guides. Then make holes for the threaded handles. Then create a recess for the handles. I'll ease the sides with a block plane. And then try my first test fitting with the final piece. Check clearances and the movement of your parts. Checking for slop, I found the T-nut doesn't fully recess into the slot. I'll recess it into the Fritz and Franz to get a tight fit. I'll need to recess the T-nut into the jig itself. I do that by putting the T-nut on the jig, putting the nut through the hole upside down, and then using a marking knife to measure exactly where I need to take out the waste. Once I have a snug fit, it's off to the table saw to trim off the excess. Make sure you've got a perfect 90 between your sliding table and your jig. Then cut to final length. Sand down the fresh cuts and the surface for the sandpaper. I test fit the sandpaper before making one final test fit on the sliding table saw itself. I chose a 400 grit self-adhesive sandpaper. And that's it. Now it's time for some test cuts. I'm going to start with an angled cut. You can calculate your angles based on the distance between the parallel guides. I'm using an air clamp, but the sandpaper and the jigs hold just fine without it. I'll switch to a flat cut by setting both parallel guides to 3 inches. I ended up with a perfect 3-inch cut. I finished my jigs with 3 coats of Danish oil. And that's about it. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you have any comments, questions, or feedback.